Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the REDX podcast. My name is Andrew, and I am going to be your host today. We have a very special guest joining us. He's been in the industry for nearly 3 decades. He's rated as one of the top real estate trainers in North America. He's an international speaker. He's a momentum coach, both in Canada and the US. Please join me in welcoming Dwayne Groome. Dwayne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andrew, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. We're excited that you're joining us today. We're going to learn a lot about kind of the entire real estate journey for agents, right? From leads all the way to listings. We might even move on to closings, how agents should structure their business for success. But before we jump into all of that, just a little bit of housekeeping for the audience. As always, if you're joining us live on YouTube, on Facebook, LinkedIn, please hop in the chat, say hi. Let us know where you're from. And if you have any questions for Dwayne today, please don't hesitate to ask. He is a trainer. He is a coach. He is very good at what he does. So he is going to be, we'll put him on the spot and I'm sure he'll do well. He's going to be here to answer all your questions. So please take advantage of this. It's almost like a mini coaching session that you can, kind of participate in for free right now for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So please ask those questions. And Dwayne will help us out, get those answered. So Dwayne, let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into the good stuff today. I want to kind of walk through the entire real estate funnel, or more specifically, the entire process for agents from leads to listings, right? Let's say an agent gets a lead. Maybe they get a bunch of leads, whether it's from their sphere or from REDX. Maybe they have a referral. What next, right? Because a lot of agents, especially newer agents, spend a lot of time looking for leads or digging them up or talking to people. But once they have someone, once they have names and numbers to contact, what should they do?
Well, it's neat how you said from start to finish, because earlier when you and I were talking just before we got set up here, I was mentioning that my training is geared on 8 keys to success. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of maybe bringing it up later, but now that you mentioned that there's maybe a process or what we go through, those keys to success are important. So if you don't mind, maybe I would like to just say those keys to success first, and then it will actually get everybody to understand where you need to start and how it'll get to your end results.
I love that.
And the end result is, of course, we want to make a lot of money, right? In less time. So you have a lot of fun in real estate in life, right?
Absolutely.
So I've just mentioned that now is the first key to success. If any of you have a pen and piece of paper handy, I hope you do. Just take some good notes here. The first key to success in real estate is to have a great attitude. That makes sense. Bob Proctor, one of my friends that I've known over the years, has said the law of attraction. And a lot of it has to do with being positive and having a good attitude. So just remember, every day you give yourself a checkup from the neck up and you're positive. Now there's things to do, but if you're negative, what happens is, a pessimist will always look for the difficulty in every opportunity. So you could get a ton of leads from REDX, and you will, by the way. But if you're negative, you either won't, follow up with them, or you'll sound negative on the phone, or, it just won't work. So you have to be optimistic, always look for the opportunity and things that are not always perfect, and have a great attitude. So that's the first key to success. The second key to success, of course, is to book a lot of appointments. So you notice the S there. Like, it's not just one appointment. It's let's focus on booking a ton of appointments. So if you have a great attitude, you're having some leads from REDX, I'll tell you how to convert it in a moment. But the general idea is I need to book appointments, get belly to belly or face to face with people, right? Belly to belly, face to face. I'll give you the dialogue in a moment. Will help you to move people further with their plans, or but you'll get more referrals that way as well. The second key to success, as I mentioned, was appointments. The third key to success is your lead generating. Now, some people may say, should maybe 2 and 3 be reversed? Well, it depends. If you need to be proactive before you have money, then book appointments by doing some proactive activities, your open houses, your door knocking, and maybe whatever calls you can make. And then allocate a percentage of your income back into your budget so you can pay for, let's say, REDX leads. And so lead generation is very important, right? The fourth key to success would be, now, just to back up a bit with what Andrew said, he said, where does it start? Well, we know it's the right attitude. Then we know we need to start booking appointments. And when we've got some money, let's generate leads. and convert into a face-to-face meeting. And then the fourth key to success is what you do on your appointments. You have a great presentation or a process. We're going to talk about sellers today to get more listings. If you don't list, you won't last, sort of thing. The fifth key, and I'll just get through them a little quicker here, and then we can come full circle and dig into more questions on each area. The fifth key to success is to make sure that you have the right price on all your inventory, and make sure your clients know what their net is. So price and net is the fifth key. And the sixth key to success, which you'll notice they all tie in together one way or the other. You got attitude, appointments, get leads to get more appointments, master your presentation, make sure you price your inventory properly. And then handling objections is important as well when you're on a listing appointment. If they want to, if they don't understand the commission structure, or they're trying to get you to do it for less, we can talk about that today. How do you, they may say they want to interview other realtors. They may say they want to renovate first. I can go on, but we'll go to the next key to success, which is business operations, number 7. And that's to make sure that you take care of your business so that your business will take care of you, like from the book Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Right.
Some of these books are amazing, and I hope you read those ones. And the last one is, of course, time management. And the secret to time management, of course, is to always do high income producing activities first each day. And maybe you even try to do that before. Make it happen before lunch is another book, by the way. I just thought I'd have that there. So I half answered your first question because I had to throw in, you have to have a good attitude.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Andrew? Like, if you have a stinking thinking, that's not going to help, is it?
Yeah, absolutely not. And I love that attitude comes first because, like you said, whenever a roadblock comes up, if you have a positive attitude, you say, oh, how am I going to get past this? How am I going to be productive and pragmatic and push through this and get the outcome I want? Whereas if you have that negative mindset, it's going to be, like you said, calls are boring, or, there's so many wrong numbers, or, what if they won't want to talk to me? What if I get an objection, right? There's so many things that you're going to put in your way. They're not necessarily in your way to start with, but you're going to put them in your way because you've got a bad mindset. So I love that. That's a great place to start.
And I think when we go with the attitude, and let's go to that first reaction to a lead. So REDX will provide leads once you're all set up. They'll go to your inbox, let's say. I recommend you, print it off. If you're a real techie person, you want to keep everything on your computer, that's fine. But sometimes old school makes it more tangible, just saying. So you have this lead and it has a name, it has a phone number, let's say. So when you call, here's how the prospecting track works, gang. And in our training, we actually recommend that you have it in front of you, but I'm just going to say it verbally. First thing you do is you would introduce yourself. Now, actually, I'm corrected here. If you have their name, you would call and ask for their name, of course. Then you would introduce yourself. And you always should introduce yourself and say what company you're with. Then the best thing to do is, it's almost like you're not really trying to eliminate them, but you're trying to confirm something. If it's a lead that came in, it looks like they're a buyer, you would just say, it looks like you're thinking of buying. If it looks like they're thinking of selling, or by the way, if you were just doing some proactive activities, you might even ask them or let them know that you were calling to make sure they weren't thinking of selling. But that's another story for proactive. But back on the lead, I was just calling because it looks like you're thinking of selling. Is that right? Or you just say, it looks like you're thinking of selling. Is that right? And they'll probably say no, but they might say yes. But the next thing is you give that reason. The reason I called is I got your inquiry or I got your email with your questions. Then if you can start to hear their story by asking them a few questions, it's really important that we do less talking and more listening. And the way to do that is always ask a question. So you may ask something like, where were you planning on moving to? Or when were you thinking of moving out of your home? Any open-ended question to get them to start telling you their story. And gang, let them talk. If it takes 3-4 minutes, they start actually unwinding, feeling more comfortable. And then when you feel it's appropriate, that's when you offer to meet them. The phone is only meant for one thing, to book an appointment. It's not meant to give out information. This is very critical for everybody right now if you're taking notes. Don't answer questions on the phone. And I'll explain a little more about that. Don't give out information on the phone. You need to use that when you're on the appointment to get a signature. And so you may say, well, I don't want to avoid the question. Yeah, I understand that. So if they say, how much do you charge? Well, I'll give you an answer for that in a second. How fast can you sell my house? What's the market like right now? Almost any question, you can say, that's a pretty good question. Why don't we do this? I don't mind. I've got some time where I could come by, talk to you about your plans. I can bring a little bit of information on what the market's doing, even the comparable sales or whatever the question is based on. You have a fair trade item. And next thing you know, most of the time when you're good, you're going to get the phone call converted into a face-to-face meeting. And by the way, in our training, we'll teach you how to bona fide your appointment and send a pre-list brochure to sell yourself and your company in advance. But that's going a little deeper right now. Basically, every time you're on the phone, you want to convert into a face-to-face by offering to meet. Never ask. Never ask. Right. Yeah, you never say, "Can I come over?" No. Is it okay if I do this? And you know how we are. We kind of tiptoe around, and we want to make sure we're being really nice. Well, you can still be nice, but let's be direct. Say, why don't we do this? I got some time where I could come by, and you give an alternate choice on your time. Offer a fair trade item. And you know what? When you offer, you'll be surprised how many people feel more like, oh, they're willing to do that for me, or they're doing me a favor. Well, they may not say that, but they get that different feeling than you saying to them, when can I come over? And one of the worst things I've heard a lot of realtors say is, when can I come over? So they're not in control of their own time.
Right.
And then the client, future client will say, come over tonight at 6. And they go, okay. And they go and they put it in there and then, oh, I have another listing appointment at 6. Or worse yet, they have dinner with their wife and they don't show up. Oops.
Right.
So comments on that, Andrew?
Yeah. So let me see if I can summarize this here. So early on in the call, no matter what this lead is, and my question for you, Dwayne, is how would you adjust this strategy and this script for different lead types, right? Because a lot of lead types, let's say it's an expired listing or it's a for sale by owner, can be a little bit more pushy, might give you some pushback, some objections right off the bat, right? Tell you that, oh, you're the 100th agent who's called me today. I already know what you're all about. So the one that you laid out seems like a good kind of baseline kind of structure, right? You call, you get their name, you confirm whether they're going to buy or sell. You ask questions to get to know them and don't really let them ask you questions. Save that for the appointment. How would you kind of tweak that to really fit in good with an expired lead or for sale by owner?
Yeah, it's good you brought that up. By the way, just want to comment one part, when they are asking you questions, we do acknowledge that they ask the question.
Don't ignore them.
But use that as a reason to meet, to go over it.
Right.
And that's an opportunity to close, by the way, gang. When they say, well, how fast can you sell? Or I wonder if we should renovate. And just don't get into a lengthy conversation on the phone. Don't start looking up stuff and emailing them and that. It's just what we recommend. Just book that face-to-face meeting. Now, with the different types of buyers and sellers, because of REDX, you got expireds. You can get the list and put it through the Vortex and through social media and all that. And then we also have FSBOs, which is your rent by owner. And then FSBOs for sale by owners. And then you have a geo leads, so it's certain areas and that kind of thing for just listed and just sold. So I just wanted to say that so that I can take the prospecting track and show you how the steps work the same, just the dialogue changes depending on who they are. So let's say it's a for sale by owner. Now in our training, we'll show you 8 reasons you can put more money in their pocket in less time. And again, we wouldn't go over that over the phone. We'd offer it. And when they asked for it, we'd offer to meet with them to go over it. And if they said, send it, remember, one of the best ways to get rid of a realtor is ask them to send me something.
Right.
Okay, so don't send them. And, need to be committed to staying on track, gang, even if you feel you might lose a few. In fact, if they're not willing to cooperate, that's probably a sign that they may be harder to work with anyways. Right. So the for sale by owner, they're called fair trade items. And we don't have anything to pull up on the screen, but if you could just picture that you ID the caller, introduce yourself, confirm why you're calling them, give them a reason. The reason is I got your input form, or I see that you had a request on something, whatever it is. So you acknowledge that. And then you start asking a couple open-ended questions. So how long have you been trying to sell your home privately? Would you consider using a realtor if you got the right price? And then let them say their story, gang. Remember that part? Say their story. And then when you offer to meet, you offer a fair trade item. So for somebody who, let's say, is just thinking of selling, you can offer a CMA or comparative market analysis, and then you can offer a time to come over. For somebody that's trying to sell privately, you can say, well, there's two ways to approach a FSBO. One is, FSBO, but don't call them that. Number one is the direct approach. We have 8 ways that we can put more money in your pocket, and I've got some time I can come over and go over it with you. And if they say they don't want to, then just say, well, if you change your mind, give me a call back. It's not a big deal. Just move on. Or you could use the soft approach with the for sale by owner and say, well, what if I pop by, see what you've got, so I know what you have in your price, and maybe show you how you can sell your property without using a realtor. And they'll go, what? And did you say without? Why would you do that? Well, I'm thinking that if I come over and we go over the marketing plan that we use, and you can figure out what you can do, privately, and I'll guide you through that and give you some tips. I'm thinking that, hey, if it doesn't work out for you, then, hey, you'll probably come back to me and I'll be able to work with you anyways. Or maybe I can help you with your buying end of it. Or maybe you have some other people that that just aren't interested in your property, but need another one. And by the way, when you go there, gang, remember, it's all about belly to belly, face to face. Yep. You start going over your marketing plan, they start realizing how much they can't do. And so that's what's good about that. Now let's jump.
I love that for sale by. Sorry, I just want to stop and kind of comment on that for sale by owners is over the phone. You're essentially offering them your expertise and your services for free without signing a contract, right? Let me just come show you what I can do or what you can do to sell your own home a little bit more effectively. And then to your point, you're in their house, you're at the appointment, you're belly to belly. Then they realize, I think that's a really great tactic and a really great kind of for sale by owner approach on the phone to get that appointment, because a lot of them are so stubborn. They know they can do it on their own. They know they don't need your help. But most people are willing to take advice from an expert, especially if it's free, especially if it's no strings attached, gives you that opportunity to get in the front door. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, exactly. And folks, it's right now we're talking about converting. Mm-hmm. And don't get ahead of yourself and start thinking, well, how am I going to say, about the 8 keys, or not the 8 keys, the 8 reasons. I know the numbers are the same, but it's a different thing. And you can get caught up in this on the phone. So remember, just simplify it by saying the phone is meant to book a face-to-face meeting. If they won't meet with me, it's okay, gang, let them go. You're going to get a ton of leads from REDX anyways. And so you really are sifting and sorting them out to work with the best ones, the ones that are really cooperating with you. Just to go further into the question Andrew originally I asked was on expireds also. Now, expireds, remember the steps are the same. You ID the caller. If they filled out an input form and an expired came to you, you got to have their name. If you don't have their name, don't try to, wing it on a name, of course. You'll say your name, introduce yourself, and you'll give them the reason. I was just calling because it looks like you tried to sell your home previously and were unsuccessful. Is that right? And then, you'll get your yes or no, or maybe a little bit of an earful, gang. Sometimes they're not pleased with, what are they not pleased with? Probably the previous realtor. And so expireds can ruin your reputation in that sense. But here's the thing. Again, you give the reason, and then without even asking questions, they might just start going on. Yeah, we tried last year and it just wasn't good. And the realtor, and they start, and you got to listen to this for a bit. Let them vent. It's like letting air out of a balloon before you trying to manipulate it, make it into a balloon animal, that type thing. Otherwise it'll pop. So let them exhale. So you listen to the earful, and then you say, okay, well, I'm just curious. And you start questioning some of the services, not directed at the previous realtor, but just directed. Did you folks do an open house when you tried to sell? Oh yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you're going through a checklist, and you kind of are, because in our training, we have a saleability checklist, a kind of a property checklist. And it's, did you folks, send out just listed postcards? Did the realtor advertise in any of the print media in the neighborhood? Was he on the line with Craigslist? Was he, and all of a sudden, did he go over a saleability checklist to make sure that they were doing all 20 points? And they'll say, well, what's that? And then again, it's an offer a fair trade item. Well, I'll tell you what I could do. I could put aside some time where I could come by and go over the saleability checklist and find out why your home didn't sell. And then if you want to move forward with your plans, we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. And I have some time that I could see on Friday at 3, or would 4 be better? So that helps. So again, we're just converting right now. So any other comments on that, Andrew? Because I can talk a little bit, if we have time, about some of the things we do on the appointment as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got plenty of time here. Let's, one question that came up for me is I know that with expireds, right? We were just talking about letting expireds vent so that you can ask them questions and get that appointment. What if an expired starts off upset with you and they're not really entering that venting mode, right? What if they just say, I don't want to work with a realtor? They give you kind of those key 5 objections that expireds are really good at right off the bat. What questions can an agent ask to encourage some of that venting and to get that expired lead to kind of open up a little bit and tell their story?
Yeah, good question. Well, first of all, if they're ever using any colorful metaphors, let them go. All right.
Right.
Or if they're being rude, and you don't have to be on the phone, gang, and but don't be rude yourself, obviously. You know how we can get caught up and then we might say something and we regret it. So if they're too far on that side and you say, I can see I won't be able to help you, so have a great day, and let them go. But let's say they're still being nice, but they have these questions, they're being direct, they said, we this and we that. Well, when I refer to my training, it's hard to, most of you folks haven't taken the training. I've had thousands of people in my courses, but we've got a wide audience here. So a lot of you haven't, I think. And there are 6 keys to listing an expired in our training. Wonderful. And in the 6 keys, some of it is just starts with, you're going to get an earful. So listen to, that type of thing. And then to get in the door, offer the saleability checklist, make sure that if they ask to you to send it, don't send it. If they start going into, well, why didn't it this? And why is the market that? Always again, say, that's a very good question. That's a really good issue. Let's get together and talk about it face to face. Let's do this in person. Remember, the phone is only meant to book a face-to-face meeting. So you're going to have to know what to say on the appointment. And I can give you some of that in a moment. But again, I have to reiterate every time on the phone, that's a good reason. That's a good objection. That's a good concern. Why don't we do this? I don't mind. Let's get together and we can talk about it person to person. Right. Gang, if you can't get a face-to-face meeting with them, don't give any information, because you're just wasting your breath 99% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our viewers, Larry Reed, he's live with us right now. He asked, when it comes to for sale by owners, let's say the for sale by owner says, I will pay a 2.5% commission if you bring me a buyer. What's your response going to be there, Dwayne?
My first response is that I only work on properties that are on the market. On the market to me is on MLS. And but again, how you say that, your delivery will determine if they're willing to continue to talk to you. Because if you say it one way, they'll just be like, oh, fine, and I'll just use somebody else, right? So, but here's the thing. I have a story, maybe a quick story about before I was a full-time trainer. But I had a fellow that wanted to buy a walk-up apartment. And we drove around, and I'd sold him things in the past. We were driving around. He said, I'd like to know if I can buy that one. And so I said, I'll check into it. I pulled title, contacted the owner, and I asked him if he'd be interested in selling that property. And he said, yeah, well, it's been in the family for quite some time. Yeah, I guess. And I said, okay. And then I converted into a face-to-face meeting. He happened to be a lawyer in downtown. And so I said to him, when I bona fide the appointment, I also asked him how much he wants for it. And sometimes, just so you know, folks, if you just ask, sometimes they just tell you. So at least do the asking, right? How much would you want for it? So he said a certain price. And I said, okay. Now, I had a buyer, and you'd think that all I needed to do was put the two together, right? Get the offer with the buyer and bring it to the seller. But I only work on properties that are on the market. Isn't that right? So I let the fellow know that I'll come by and we'll go over the process of listing and putting it on the market. And I did tell him I had a buyer as well, and I'll see what I can do, right? So we set up the listing appointment. So in the meantime, I did get the offer written, and I had it at full list price plus 6% commissions. It's because he told me what he wanted. I just added 6%. Right. And when I got there, I'm still being transparent. I let him know that I do have an offer, but I want to make sure that we go over how we put properties on the market. That way, if this one doesn't work out, I can still sell it for you. Fair enough. And he said, okay. Now, I know you're going to get a bunch that'll say, no, I don't want to do that. In my opinion, you should try to get the listing, but don't try to do the one side if you can't get the listing. I just recommend you don't. Now, you may say, you want to make the exception? Okay. I would say that if the commissions are 6% and you bring the buyer, you should get your 3 for sure. But remember, representation and insurance that we have, and there's all these things that are tied in, that sometimes that'll be the hardest deal you ever do, and you're only getting paid half compared to double ending it. Does that make sense? So you got to look at the big picture. But anyways, if you say that I'm just going to stick with that first rule that I mentioned, it may have the same result I had. I ended up double ending it. It was multifamily, so the condition date took a while, things like that. But, it was pretty good money, 6% times whatever it was back then, a million something. So that's what I recommend anyways.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you for that. That was a great story to illustrate that point there. So let's keep moving along this journey. We found the leads through REDX. We kind of went over the types of leads. We've talked about a good universal script and kind of a conversation structure to get you face to face, to get you belly to belly, with a lot of great a lot of great advice on specific lead types. We went over expireds. We went over for sale by owners. Let's move on to the actual appointment. Let's say you've got them penciled in. You're showing up tonight at 5 or 6, at 6, because that's what fit into your schedule. What are some of your key tips for being on the listing appointment to get that to turn into an actual listing?
Well, this is one of my funnest topics to teach when I'm on stage.
Right.
So but first, before I talk about what we're doing when we're on the appointment I want to talk about from the moment that we book the appointment, what we do until we pull up in front of the house first.
Oh, good. Your preparation for the appointment, right? As an agent.
Yeah. So take some good notes here, gang. The first thing is, when you're on the phone, you should bona fide the appointment. You should say, after you book the appointment, you'll just say, so I just have a couple questions to get my homework done. And you make sure all decision makers are present, especially on title. Okay. You want to make sure they all want to sell. This is for a bona fide listing appointment. Now, there may be some that you go on that aren't bona fide. I get that. But this is me. Well, put it this way. When I ask my students, do they want me to teach them the best way to do real estate or the second best way? Guess what they always say? The best, right? So this is it. So bona fide the appointment. Make sure all decision makers are present. They all want to sell. Get enough information so for ballpark CMA. And you want to make sure that you schedule enough time for your appointment. And there's a little bit of training on that, but we don't have time for that right now. And then you want to ask them how much they want for their home or what price range home they live in. That's a softer question. What price range home do you think you live in? Might help. Sometimes they won't give you an answer, gang, but that's okay. Remember, you're an optimistic person, not a pessimist, right? Yeah. And you might want to ask them how much it's on their mortgage. And if they don't want to give you that, ask them if they can have a statement ready when you get there. And then you mentioned to them, I'm just going to send you something over by courier or by mail, if you have time. And it's called a pre-list brochure about you and your company, a trifold brochure or something. Sells you in advance and you get less cancellations. Now, to prepare yourself for the appointment, and I'm going to go kind of faster because I know our time's running out. Yeah. You want to have a folder put together. And in your folder, you're going to want to make sure, and if you were in my training, you would see that there's a call form that you put information on that would be stapled to the inside cover. Now, a lot of you are techie. You like to do everything on the computer. So just convert it in your mind from what I'm saying. So you've got your call form stapled to the inside cover. You pull title on your property before you go is what I recommend. Maybe you have the tax roll. At least you know what the municipality or the county thinks it's worth. Now, that's not going to be a complete reflection of what it's worth, but it still gives you a ballpark. Right. And then you want to have your forms, your relationship forms, your fiduciary duties, any identification forms. And you want to have your listing agreement form, and you should have a buyer agreement form, because if they list with you, it's really easy to get them to sign the buyer agency right after they list their house, especially if they're going to buy with you. So there's a little tip on getting that one out of the way. So now, and then you have your comparables in there, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6. Take your yellow highlighter, highlight the things that would be in common so you can educate the sellers on price. We show them how most successful sellers pick the right price. We don't tell them unless asked. Okay, so now we've got our folder, and then we should have a listing book, which in our training, it's called the 7-step sales process. And I'll tell you what that is in a second. So we got our book, or maybe it's on your laptop or your iPad. That's fine. You have your folder, and now it's time to head over there. Before you go, gang, I'm giving you some good advice. Turn off your phone.
Yes.
Before you drive, not when you get there. Because you know what will happen? You pull up in front of the house, you go to turn off your phone. Oh, and there'll be a message. Oh, I'll just check this first. And all of a sudden, it's another deal falling apart.
Right.
It sets your tone. You're already not in a good mood. So do not check your phone before you get out of your car. I highly recommend that.
Right. And nothing looks worse than a real estate agent sitting in front of your house doing this in the driveway, being late for their appointment. I recently bought a house. I loved when a real estate agent would pull up, get out of the car, walk up, and I knew I was their priority, right?
And he's 5 or 10 minutes early.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just right on, because they're watching for you a couple minutes before, and you pull up, and all of a sudden you get out of your car and you got the pit bull look, and you're upset about a deal that's falling apart, and they're looking out the window and they're going, "Oh, honey, the realtor's here. Oh yeah, what's he look like? Well, he's got a nice suit on, but
Angry.
boy, he looks pissed off." So
don't want that.
Give yourself a checkup from the neck up, and and just set yourself up for success, gang. It's really important, right?
Bring that positive attitude.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you walk to the front door dressed like $1 million, or definitely make it so that you have your pin on and maybe some decent clothes so they can recognize you as a realtor, not a rock star or something, right? And so you get to the front door, ring the bell. And when you see them, smile and just step back. And when they open the door, maybe pay them a quick, sincere compliment. Maybe something looks good. If it's Christmas time, the lights look great. Or if it's summertime, the flower garden looks great. Limit the number of compliments to one. Because if you say more than one, like, "Wow, this place looks great. Did you decorate that yourself? Well, this is wonderful. Did you just do all your painting yourself, or did you get a professional to do that? Wow, those kids look great. Did you do that yourself, or is that professionally done?" No, I'm just kidding. But all these compliments going, and then they're cha-ching, cha-ching. So you just one little compliment, take them, I say, to the kitchen table. There's a little animation from what I would do on stage. Remember, I said kitchen table, not sofa.
Okay.
Not the couch. Whatever
Why is that?
way you want to look at it. Well, most decisions are made at the kitchen table, and that's where most of the time they sit with a friend or something. And there's less distractions than sitting in front of a TV and a puppy dog and some kids and all that. So go to the kitchen table and small talk, smart talk about anything but real estate for 1 to 3 minutes. And if they keep going, let them talk for a couple more minutes, but then say, "Oh, here, let me show you what I have here for you today." And if you want to open up your laptop or take your book and open it up and go to that first page, it's an overview of what you're going to do. You just say, "Let me show you what I have here for you today." So I'll just follow mine right here. First thing I'm going to do is that, oh, it's the wrong book. That's the buyer one. The seller one here. This is right here. See, that's all right there. Fingertips. First thing I'm going to do is ask you a series of questions so I can find out what you want to accomplish. Okay, Andrew? Sure. Then from there, after we go through those questions, if you could just show me around the property, maybe you could point out some features, and I'll take some good notes as well. If there's any improvements you've done, maybe that I can't see, maybe some electrical or anything like that, just point that out. Then from there, we'll come back to the kitchen table, Andrew, and I'm going to show you how we get the job done. We've got a number of points on how we market homes to find you that buyer, and I'll take as many or as little questions as you want. And from there, I can show you how most successful sellers pick the right price. In the folder here, I have some comparables, and we'll put them on a net sheet. And Andrew, we'll be able to find out exactly what you're going to put in your pocket, and that's probably what you want, right? And from there, I have some forms to explain. And what we can do is help you to make a decision based on all the facts. And so once you understand how the forms work, then I'll address any questions or any concerns you have. And from there, we'll make a decision where we go. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start in the beginning here, and I just have some questions to ask. Fair enough? So without going into each step, Andrew, at least you've seen the layout, 7-step sales process. And then when you go into each one tip before I hand it back to you, Andrew, gang, even if they don't want to list and you get the 7 steps, don't skip any steps. People deserve to know the pricing, the marketing, and they deserve to know what the forms are about even before they decide. And because I've seen realtors go in and people say, "We're not going to list right now." And they'll say, "Oh, then we don't have to go over the forms. We can do that later." And you're missing out on an opportunity to show the value in us supporting and representing them. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's part of it anyways, without actually showing you how you do it. But that's the overview.
Cool. Well, this has been so great, Dwayne. Thank you so much for everything you've shared today. We went over your 8 keys to success, right? Which was a really good high level. Here's the 8 things you need to be a successful real estate agent. We dove into, kind of the process from leads all the way to the appointment with some great scripts and strategies along the way. So for any one of our audience who was live, or maybe they joined us late, or they just want to go soak up more of this information and catch a replay, please go check it out. You can subscribe to us on any podcast platform, on YouTube, on Facebook, to watch a replay, to get all this information written down. I've been taking very thorough notes the whole time. So Dwayne, this has been amazing. Where can they learn more? I mean, obviously we had to stay kind of high level today. If they want to take a deep dive into more of your training, where can they go to get more from you?
Well, I appreciate you letting me do this. I think you have my website if you want to pop it up on the screen there. And so you can go to DwayneGroomeSeminars.com. And what I'd like to do is offer something. So I will let you know where my live training is going to be in the new in 2023. I teach in Canada and the US, but mostly on the West Coast. Okay. So in Canada in this spring, there's training in Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary, and Central and Winnipeg. And that'll be in mid-March to mid-May. And then in the fall, I'll be down in the Southwest where I also live periodically. And I'll be teaching in Arizona and California. And maybe where you are, I've been talking with you guys about maybe doing something in Utah as well. But what I'd like to offer is I also do one-on-one momentum coaching. And if some of you would like to know more about the training and then also the accountability to be able to help you do 50 deals a year, working 40 hours a week or less, go to Dwayne Groome Seminars, click on Momentum Coaching, and just on the top part of the page, it'll say a free 30-minute business consultation or like a free coaching 30-minute on Zoom with me. I'm more than happy to do the 30-minute total, no cost at all, and still give you at the end of that information on maybe you want to come to one of the cities near you or take momentum coaching, and I can go into a bit of that. So I really appreciate you being able to do that. And, I partnered up with REDX. They're in my manual. They're we've got so much to do together. It's going to be great. So you're going to get leads, and then I'll show you how to make money with those leads.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Well,
Andrew.
we appreciate you, Dwayne. Thank you so much for joining us today for the last, 35, 40 minutes here. A lot of great information, a lot of great things that people should go back and rewatch and replay and really soak up. Again, to our audience, we go live here and do our podcast every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. So join us next week and every week after. If you want to go back and go through some of our past inventory of podcasts, we've got hundreds of episodes out there for you to watch, again, on YouTube, on Facebook. Did you have something else, Dwayne?
Just one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
The other than the one-on-one coaching I do, in case there's any brokers watching, observing this right now, what I really do full time, I do, as you know, coaching, and I also do the training. But a lot of brokerages will have me come in to their office with a face-to-face meeting to see if they want me to do training. And I do an 8-week productivity challenge. So if you go to my website, there's also a link to 8-week productivity challenge for individual offices. And I do anywhere in North America, basically, but mostly on the West side. But feel free to see if you'd like me to come to your office. That's fine too.
Excellent. Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Dwayne. Thank you to the audience for joining us live. We will be here next Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Eastern. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.